Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So this video, uh, somewhat short and sweet, but today I'm going to reveal the press that I decided to go with. I posted a couple of polls over on the community tab of my channel. And if you've been following along and actually participating in those, then you'll know that I was in the market for a new press. And I guess without further ado, we'll just go right into what I ended up going with, and then I'll kind of talk through the thought process and some of the results of the polls and y'all's input and that type of stuff, right? So this is what I went with. The Mech Marksman. There you go. I went ahead and picked up the mount or the little stand to go with it. I picked this up from Midway USA. Just because it was already in stock, free shipping, all that fun stuff. And they ship really fast. And it was for a pretty decent price. It wasn't the cheapest press, or it wasn't the cheapest price on this press that I found. I think that was actually maybe at Natchez Shooter Supply or something like that, or Mid-South, one of the two. But the problem there was the shipping wasn't free. And then when you factor in taxes and all that, it ended up actually being more than what this press and mount was over at Midway USA. So I just went with those guys, even though they were a little bit more on the sticker price. Once you factored in the free shipping and all that, they actually came out just a little bit cheaper. So, and I got it relatively quickly. Got everything mounted up. I've actually already I ran 50 pieces of 6.5 Creedmoor just to decap it. I ran that through there. Obviously no issues whatsoever. And then I actually just seeded some of these guys for 350 Legend. So yeah, so I've already just kind of run a couple of different operations on it, and as you would expect, based on all the positive reviews out there, I had zero issues whatsoever. Getting this thing mounted up and all that, I just used the exact same little screws, kind of like the hex head screws that I used on the inline fabrication mount for the Redding T7 turret press. So I sold that and actually picked this up. That's where that trade-off came in. But same deal. I just mounted this directly to the top here, to the bench, and then bolted this to the mount itself. It's got 3 bolts. Yeah, pretty straightforward setup. Nothing really too crazy. So one thing that I think everyone will appreciate is this little primer catcher tray here, and let me show it to you from the back. So basically it's just this little plastic tray, and you just tilt it to pull it out, tilt it to put it in, and it stays in place. Obviously you don't want to get it too full, otherwise when you tilt it you're going to spill the spent primers. But it's got obviously more than enough capacity, right, to hold Lord knows how many spent primers. But I figured everyone would like that. Now we shouldn't have any spent primers underneath the press, and everything will stay pretty clean. So, but I ran a couple of polls. The first poll I put out, I said, hey, I'm kind of gonna scratch the itch of, I want a new press, right? I am at heart more of a fan of a single stage press. That's my own personal preference. I like a turret press. I like the utility of it, the purpose behind it, right? The functionality of it and all that. But just in general, I like a really good single stage press. I just have since I started reloading. And so I posted a poll in the community tab and was like, hey, go vote on which press I should get. And I can't even remember the 5 options that I put in there. I know it was 4 press options, and then the 5th option was like, hey, comment below for a different one, right? Whatever you think I should get. And I think a lot of people, there were a lot of comments and a lot of feedback on that, and I read all of them. The Forester Coax, I think, was probably the #1 recommended press to go with. And then this guy was mentioned quite a bit. And so yeah, there was a lot of good options. I think I had listed like the Redding Big Boss 2, maybe the RCBS Rebel press, maybe a lineman option as well. Yeah, that type of stuff. You can go look at it. So I went through, read the comments and the suggestions. And so then I started kind of just going through my own internal checklist of, okay, what am I looking for in a press? Um, and, sort of filtering it that way, right? And keeping in mind the historical side of it for the presses that I've actually already owned or used. So I started off with a Lee breech lock Challenger single stage press, and that served me really well for a while until it reached a point where there was a lot of slop in the ram, and that was when I had first purchased like a concentricity gauge, the Hornady concentricity tool, and kind of started going down that rabbit hole of concentricity and bullet run out and whatever, and realized real quick, like, man, I'm seeing a lot of, concentricity, what I felt like were issues and inconsistencies, and basically traced it back to the press. So I upgraded. I went from a Lee breech lock Challenger press to a Redding Big Boss 2 single stage press. And, concentricity, the bullet run out went to next to nothing, right? I mean, it was just the very, very consistent concentricity results once I switched to that press without changing dies, and all that stuff. So pretty much ruled, hey, the press was to blame. Now, was it really impacting my groups in a measurable way on paper? Because I don't really shoot long distance. And so would I actually see 12 thousandths run out at 100 yards compared to 4 thousandths? Would I see a noticeable change? I don't know, and I don't have a good way to test that. So I just know that obviously you want to try to control as many variables as possible and reduce as much variation as possible in your process. So that press did an amazing job. From there, a guy actually posted the Redding T7 turret press, bought that and used that along with the Big Boss 2. And those were my primary presses. And I got to the point where I got rid of the Big Boss 2 because I like the Redding T7 so much. I like the versatility of it and being able to just rotate from die to die and have everything already set. And so I like that aspect of it. And while I still have both of those presses, I actually was fortunate enough, Matt over at Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville, he said, hey, this was when the Redding, or not the Redding, but the Frankfurt Arsenal coax press, the M press, came out. It was introduced, and he said, hey, I'm getting in one of these presses. Would you want to test it out? Of course, I would. I've got these videos posted on the channel. You can go back and find them. And I actually did concentricity comparison between those three presses. And it was a small sample size, so, just take it at face value, just take it for what it is. It's not a massive sample size. If the sample size was larger, it might be more of a negligible difference, right? But there was a slight difference in the average concentricity measurements between the three different presses, right? The single stage Redding Big Boss 2 was the best out of the three, just in that particular instance. So not saying that it's always the best, but just for the test that I did, it was the best. But the Redding and the Frankfurt did, the Impress did very well also. So those are the presses that I've had experience with in the past. So a Lee breech lock Challenger single stage, a Redding Big Boss 2 single stage, the Redding T7 turret, and then the Frankfurt Arsenal M press. So I've had 4 different presses. This is actually my 5th press to use now. And that's really kind of what helped guide me on going with this press, because it is so much different than the ones I've already had. And I really considered the Forester coax, except for the fact that like I said, I've had experience with the Frankfurt Arsenal M press. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh man, but the Forester coax, there's really no comparison. It's just so much far and away better. I understand that, and I hear you, and I've seen all of those reviews and the videos, and I get it. The M press, it's got its quirks and its issues, but it's still a coax style press, right? And so I've used those before. And so it was something that I thought about it for, a little while, and then I was like, nah, I really don't want to go down that route. Really want to stick to, sort of more of a C-frame, O-frame, single stage press. and decided on the Mech Marksman simply because this is really their intro into the metallic cartridge reloading arena, right? From a press standpoint, they're very big into shot shell reloading, you know, sort of industry standard type company when it comes to shot shell reloading. But this was their entry into metallic cartridge reloading. So I wanted to give them a chance because, again, hadn't tried anything from those guys before. And this press has amazing reviews. I mean, a lot of people rave about it. I did see some negative comments and reviews about the overall finish of the press, and it may come across on the video as maybe a little dirty, but it's just kind of dusty from the packaging, that's all. But I had, you know, looking over this thing, there were zero issues with finish, right? No paint flaking off like I've seen some of the previous reviews when I was doing research on it and stuff. And also a good resource to kind of help guide me on my selection was, you know, watching Ultimate Reloader, Gavin over there, and watching his, I think it's like 14 single stage press shootout or something that he does. That whole article that he wrote up, the video they did, and the article they wrote up about gathering all sorts of data and, you know, putting some numbers behind why would you choose one press over another, or, you know, try to help make an informed decision. And so I really appreciated that content and that information because that helped guide me in this decision process. So one of the things that I did like about the Mech, you know, was partly the leverage standpoint, right, that he was able to measure in the video, and then the article or whatever has very good leverage. Overall, I think Redding Big Boss 2 was better, along with one other press. I think maybe just a couple of presses had better leverage when it came to force, you know, sizing force and stuff for the press. And then like the floating shell holder, right? You'll see some people, they actually don't like this. But this is one of the selling features of this press. So if you bought this press, I don't know, maybe you just didn't anticipate that it would float as much as it does. But I mean, this thing freely spins. You know, the shell holder, this is a Lee shell holder in here, and it moves around. There's a whole lot of free float going on in here, but that's by design, right? And so maybe some of the people who left negative reviews about it, because I did see a few negative reviews about the shell holder spinning and all that. I mean, maybe they just didn't fully understand what free float shell holder meant, but that's what you get. The retention system, you know, just kind of somewhat spring loaded, right? It's just this piece of metal kind of that holds it in place, and that might wear over time, right, of you swapping that in and out. But I mean, I would think that would take quite a while for that to become an issue or concern. So yeah, just easy, you know, pop the shell holder in and out, very easy, a lot of float in there, and again, by design to help that cartridge align provide better alignment, improve your concentricity results, whatever. So yeah, that's pretty neat. This little open area up here, I mean, that, you know, it seems like a neat little feature just to dump some bullets in there. If you don't want to have to reach all the way down, you can just dump them in here, and now you can just seat, right? You just take them, seat them, and go. That's pretty cool. That's a nifty little thing. I like that. But again, really, it was just more so to give Mech a shot. Again, I've had other single stage presses before. I've had great results with them, and so I just wanted something different, right? So, and it was funny, on the second poll that I put, you know, I said, hey, the press is on order, or I might have put like, hey, the press just showed up. Which one do y'all think I got? And I listed out some options. Well, I included the Area 4190 press, right? That $1,200 turret press. I included that in the options, and I think that was actually the one that most people picked. I think the last time I looked, it was like 33% of the votes, which was that had the most votes out of all the options. I mean, first of all, you guys are nuts if you think that I can afford a $1,200 press. And then I got rid of the turret press because I was wanting a single stage press. I know that one is different because you're able to use the wedge lock system to where it really does turn into a single stage press. You don't have that turret tilt, you know, and all that stuff. But I was just kind of surprised that many people thought that's what I went with. So I just thought that was funny. But yeah, so very interested to see how this thing performs. Like I said, I've already run a couple of different operations on it. I really like it. Don't foresee any issues. I am getting used to the floating shell holder. I mean, yeah, it's something I have to be conscious of when I'm going to place a cartridge in. Like it can spin freely, so I just have to be mindful of that. But other than that, man, I think it's going to be a home run setup. So yeah, that's it. It comes with mounting hardware, right? I mean, if it'll come with all different mounting hardware, whatever you need to get this thing mounted up. It included, it came with these bolts and washers and nuts, everything. These are just ones I already had on hand, so I just didn't feel like drilling holes all the way through and then, mounting the hardware that way. It comes with a color kind of instruction guide, I guess, if you want to call it that. Gives you a parts diagram, so that's good. Gives you a template to mount this thing directly to the bench if you need to. That's pretty cool. And then the press mount, same deal. I mean, it comes with it's just like a 2-page deal, right? But it's colored, so that's pretty cool. Instructions there. Pretty straightforward stuff, though. I mean, you shouldn't really have any issues mounting it up. And then you've got reloading accessories and different things that different other various things that you can purchase from these guys. So that's it. That's where I'm going to leave you guys. That is the press that we're going to roll with from now on, at least until I decide to change up and go with something else. So it'll just be good to evaluate this press and see how it functions, and just another data point for you guys further down the road. If maybe you want to get into reloading, you're like, hey, I'm interested in the mech, what do you think about it, right? And I can provide an opinion on that. So that's it. That's all. We will catch you guys next time. Y'all have a good one.